for the Hindu side, the fact that this temple was indeed razed, of course, as per historical records too, and a mosque was built over it. Is that the game set match here?
इंडियन नेशनल डेवलपमेंटल इंक्लूसिव अलायंस का पर्याय हिंदी में सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका प्रयास, सबका विश्वास है। क्या सही मायने में आपकी अलायंस भारत के हित के लिए बनी है कि स्वहित के लिए बनी है?
Ask the Home Minister, ask the Prime Minister the tough questions on what they did and did not do in Manipur. But instead, you are lending the government an opportunity to claim that it's not them who's running away from the debate, but it's you, the opposition.
They say the world of mining is run by men. But Akanksha Kumari proves it wrong. In 2021, Akanksha Kumari achieved the distinction of becoming Coal India's first female mining engineer. Hailing from Hazaribagh, a graduate from BIT Sindri, Akanksha works as an assistant manager at the Churi underground mines in North Karanpura.
कोल इंडस्ट्री है ही ऐसा, हर दिन चुनौती है, पर कहते हैं ना, अगर एग्जांपल दे आपको कि गाड़ी चलाएंगे तो भी चुनौती है, क्योंकि सबका एक सिस्टम है। अगर उस एसओपी को फॉलो नहीं करेंगे, उस सेफ ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीड्योर जो बना है हर चीज का, उसको फॉलो नहीं करेंगे तो वही चुनौती बड़ी चुनौती में बदल सकती है। तो इसी चीज को हम लोग ध्यान रखते हुए काम करते हैं कि वो दिन आए ही नहीं कि एक छोटी सी चीज बड़ी चीजें कन्वर्ट हो जाए।
Akanksha's work has attracted praise from her superiors. She was instrumental in increasing the production of coal to a record of over 7 lakh metric tons in the last financial year.
सीसीएल हेडक्वार्टर वाले जो अधिकारी हैं उनको भी आश्चर्य हुआ, और फिर जब जीत की तो उनका अपॉइंटमेंट चूरी अंडरग्राउंड में हुआ, और आप जानकर हम लोगों को भी खुशी हुआ कि इतनी हिम्मत वाली लड़की अंडरग्राउंड में काम करने के लिए आई है।
Akanksha is associated with the ventilation department and underground mines and also oversees safety and rescue protocols. Working side by side with her male colleagues in this grueling job, Akanksha has cleared the path for more women, where 2 female mining employees have joined Churi mines as trainees.
दिसंबर 2022 में ज्वाइन किया है। गेट का परीक्षा क्लियर करके हमने ज्वाइन किया था। हमें पता चला था कि आकांक्षा मैम जो यहाँ पहली अंडरग्राउंड में पोस्टेड माइनिंग इंजीनियर है, वो भी यहाँ है, तो हमने भी सोचा कि हम भी चलते हैं।
इंस्पिरेशन खींच रहा है।
जी जी मैम, मोटिवेशन थी यहाँ सेंट्रल कोल फील्ड्स चुनने की।
Akanksha Kumari is breaking barriers and serves as a true trailblazer.
Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. On the 31st of July, the VHP and Bajrang Dal called for a yatra, a 84 kosi yatra from the Nalkeshwar temple in Nuh's Nalhad area, where hundreds had gathered to be part of it. The yatra follows the route going to the Pandav Kalan Shiv temple, that is a Shiv temple from the times of the Pandavas, Pandav Kal Shiv temple in Firozpur, Jhirka, before concluding at the Radhakishan temple in Singar village in Haryana. But hours after this yatra began, stone pelting commenced in an area after there was sloganeering. Within minutes, clashes erupted, arson and violence spread across Nuh, and Haryana police was caught unawares. Even as the situation continues to remain tense, the Haryana police has suspended internet in Nuh and imposed Section 144 in several areas. The Haryana government has appealed for peace and alleged a larger conspiracy. The Chief Minister himself has pointed at the violence being pre-planned or motivated. But the question remains, how did law enforcement not know? Now have a look at these details, ladies and gentlemen, and some of the visuals that point to the fact that there were a certain level of preparedness. Masked rioters attacking a hospital. Why? Breaking down the glasses, burning down a vehicle parked right outside, knocking on the doors, threatening the people inside, stone pelting happening from rooftops. How did those stones reach there is a question that comes immediately. people stuck inside a temple and surrounded and being challenged for a long time. Shops that have been set ablaze, vandalized, people who've been looted, their vehicles torched. Let's try and tell you what happened on the 31st of July, the entire timeline of the events. 10 a.m. the VHP Bajrang Dal Yatra gets underway. Around 12 noon, soon after, about between 11:30 and 12, this whole thing happens. Stones were pelted, sloganeering has happened, clashes, violence, and this happens across Nuh. And this is an annual Yatra, mind you. This is not the first time this is happening. Around 3:30, things start escalating. By 5:30 p.m., Haryana government suspends the internet. 6 p.m., violence spreads to nearby areas including Gurugram, Palwal, Faridabad, and even Sohna. In fact, in some places, the Haryana police has now imposed Section 144. These are the areas where currently, even now, Section 144 remains imposed in Nuh, in Palwal, in Gurugram, in Rewari, in Faridabad, and of course the Sohna region and those entire areas. So you see that entire circle towards the south of Haryana, in and around the national capital region. That's the place where you see largely severe clampdown. In fact, 20 battalions of the CRPF have also been put down there to try and help with the arrangements there. Flag marches have been conducted and the cops are on the move. Now, the VHP and the Bajrang Dal were carrying out this procession, but what triggered this unrest? One, an objectionable video from a murder accused, Nuh Mehwat, who's been absconding for about 6 months, and suddenly this video surfaces. But this video has been doing the rounds in social media for about 5 to 6 days. It didn't surface only yesterday or day before. Failure of the cops and perhaps the law enforcement to gauge that the tempers were running high, especially with the kind of exchanges that were being witnessed or that could be seen on social media. A possible link with the crackdown on this Jamtara type cybercrime frauds, which has now become a hub there in this particular region itself. Now, could that be another reason? But is the violence linked to the crackdown on cybercrimes? Nuh in Haryana has been infamous for being India's most backward district and has recently evolved as a hotspot for cybercrimes across the country. Unemployment, backwardness, lack of opportunities have given rise to violence, especially cybercrimes. But is this the reason for what unfolded on the 31st of July? Crackdown on cybercrimes in Nuh in the last few months has only intensified. As of June 2023, the cybercrime cell has blocked 5 lakh SIM cards that were used in Mehwat region for cyber fraud across the country. Alleged scams, fraudulent calls from Nuh on the radar. As per reports, during the raids in the area, cops recovered several fake Aadhaar cards, ATM cards, etc. An intriguing aspect of the violence was a targeted attack at a cyber police station by the protesters. Apparently, a passenger bus was also looted after the occupants were brought down from it. And later, the protesters tried to ram through the main gate of the cyber police station with the same bus. Failing to do that, the protesters then rammed into a wall of the police station and entered there, trying to or attempting to burn the police station down. The state government has called it a pre-planned conspiracy, but can the Kakkar government absolve itself? Is it police inaction that led to the unrest? Could this mayhem have been averted? Some big questions that remain. Why did it take so long for the Haryana police to react? Local intel failure to gather ground information and also to corroborate what was happening on social media, and to say that this could turn out to a manifest on ground. No action taken after Nuh Mehwat released this video. Did they not try to trace it? Why did they not block the broadcast and pushing of it? Cops, did they fail to gauge the already simmering tensions in Nuh? How did they have access to arms and ammunition, these rioters? Big question. How were the rioters given a free run? Now, is there a mastermind to this rioting? How is it that they were ready with stones from rooftop and ready to pelt? And did they deliberately target certain hotspots or certain people and certain groups? Is there an ulterior motive behind burning or the attempt to burn this cybercrime cop station? These are all big questions that remain. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, we've just got more news. In another incident of arson, 4 shops, eateries and scrap shops have been set afire in Sector 66 in Gurugram. No injuries have been reported so far, but yet again, the incident continues to simmer. It's not absolute return to peace. Even though Nuh remains peaceful, neighboring regions are now seeing a certain amount of boil. Let's go across to Anshul. Anshul joins us live. Anshul, it's been a hard, long day for you. You've been running around and you've been chasing and looking at the stories across the various areas, regions in and around Nuh in this entire Mehwat region. Now it looks like it's spilled over into Gurugram. What happened here?
Well, definitely. The police is, in fact, people, the locals are saying that this is the reaction of the action that happened in Nuh and the manner in which the entire violence broke out. Now, I'll just try and show you the situation on the ground. If you could see over here, heavy police deployment has been made on the Sona road. Now, remember where this incident has happened in Gurugram. That is approximately 7 to 8 kilometers away from this location, and hence heavy police deployment has been made. Now, what happened in Gurugram is that at least 3 to 4 shops were looted. Things were thrown out in the open, and one scrap shop was set on fire by the protesters. Post that, as soon as the police got that information, heavy police deployment was made on the spot, and at this point in time, approximately 10 to 15 minutes ago, the latest report that we have gotten from that area is that the situation is under control, and this is not an isolated incident that has happened in Gurugram. In fact, in Palwal as well today, there were cases of small rioting that had happened, but yes, since there is heavy deployment of police forces in this entire area, and Section 144 and curfew has been imposed in parts of Gurugram, Sona, Nuh, Palwal. All these areas are now under Section 144, and heavy curfew, strict curfew has been imposed. So yes, not many people are being allowed to come out on the roads, and that is the reason why we are seeing these isolated incidents. But yes, the biggest challenge in front of the police and the administration is to make sure that there is peace that prevails and some sense prevails between both the communities, so that
there is a big huddle of cops behind you, Anshul. Who are these people? Why is there such a big huddle of cops behind you?
As I mentioned, that the incident that has happened in Gurugram is approximately 7 to 8 kilometers away from here, and since I am with the OB van, it is getting difficult for me to take the OB van into such riot hit areas, and hence this is the main shock in which the police has been deployed. They are frisking all the vehicles that are going through these routes, making sure that no antisocial elements gets to enter anywhere close to Gurugram, which is already very, very tense. In fact, senior officials of the police are also deployed on the ground just to make sure that the law and order situation remains under control, and confidence is instilled amongst the people that yes, the police and the administration is still active, because yes, as you rightly mentioned, Anand, there are several questions that the police needs to answer. They haven't answered even a single question. The answer that we have been getting from all the police officials, from the IAS officers, from the district collectors, is that the main focus now is to make sure that peace is reinstated in all these riot hit places. Post that, they'll fix responsibility as to who was responsible, because remember, the SP of Nuh was on leave when this Shobha Yatra was being carried out, and as you rightly mentioned, that it was known to the police. It was known to the police that situation could flare up, and even after that, how was the SP allowed to go on leave when such an incident was happening? This actually shows the laxity on the part of the administration as well as the local police.
Right, Anshul, thank you for your inputs. One still wonders, behind Anshul, if you could see those pictures, there's a huge huddle of cops standing there. Why are so many cops standing in a huddle there when you have a law and order situation all around? Unless there is some clear bandobast arrangement that's been made, beats me. But ladies and gentlemen, just before we started this edition, or we got on air with this edition of The Right Stand, I was able to speak with Mamta Singh, the ADG Law and Order Haryana. She was on her round. She was just about to get on her rounds. So she just took the time to speak with us for 5 minutes, answering some of the questions. Listen into this conversation. This is Mamta Singh, ADG Law and Order Haryana.
पूरे घटनाक्रम पर थोड़ा सा आप बता सकेंगे? कैन यू शेयर सम डिटेल्स हाउ दिस हैपेंड मैम?
कल यहाँ पर जो यात्रा चल रही थी, यात्रा के ही दौरान में पथराव हुआ, और पथराव के बाद में आगजनी, और आगजनी के बाद में ये सांप्रदायिक। तो कल जो है, जब यहाँ पे यात्रा चल रही थी, यात्रा के दौरान कुछ नारेबाजी हुई है, पथराव हुआ, पथराव के बाद एकदम से आगजनी, और ये जो है इस तरह के तनाव के बाद में तोड़फोड़, मारपीट, और ये जो आगजनी पथराव की घटना हो गई।
But ma'am, many are saying that the cops were caught unawares. They could have prevented this, and they're blaming police inaction. आप क्या कहेंगे?
नहीं, देखो, I won't agree to it, because the intel and whatever information, because this is not the first time this yatra has taken place. This yatra has taken place on previous occasion also, and it has been held very peacefully. and we had deployed around 800 police personnel for the safe security safety during the yatra. ये जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है एक छोटी सी जो आपकी जो आपस में जो एक होती है जो आप स्लोगन कहते हैं, स्लोगन के बाद में आपस में जो बातचीत और आदान प्रदान हुआ तो एग्रेसिव भाषा, उसके बाद पथराव और आगजनी की घटनाएं हो गई है। पथराव के साथ ये इंसिडेंट शुरू हुआ है यात्रा के ऊपर।
कहीं आपको डू यू हैव द इंक्लिनेशन टू बिलीव दैट दिस कुड बी प्री प्लान्ड? बिकॉज ये काफी जगह फैल गया। ऐसा लगा कि अगर लोकलाइज्ड इंसिडेंट होता तो फिर ये आसपास के इलाकों में क्यों फैल गया है? आज भी गुरुग्राम में इंसिडेंट्स हुए हैं।
देखिए, ऐसा है जब सांप्रदायिक कोई हिंसा होती है तो उसका असर आसपास के उसमें चला ही जाता है। जब तरह तरह की मीडिया में कई बार अफवाहें फैलती हैं, कई बार इंसिडेंट सही तरीके से जब रिपोर्ट नहीं होता। ये कहना कि प्री प्लान्ड और पार्ट ऑफ कॉन्स्पिरेसी था, इट इज टू अर्ली टू से दैट। हाउएवर दिस एंगल हैज we will examine during the course of investigation on this aspect also.
Ma'am, two final questions. One of the aspects is locals are saying that police did not respond because 11-11:30 बजे घटना घटी, उसके बाद 3 बजे 3:30 बजे लगभग लोग निकल के आए हैं and they created arson, vandalism, but there were no cops around. The other thing they are saying is that those who want to file FIRs, cops are not filing FIRs. People have been waiting for 3-4 hours, but cops are not filing FIRs.
No, I won't agree. This question, we are registering all the FIR. Registering FIR. दूसरी बात आपकी जो थी we came late. Around 2 p.m. the information was received in the state control room and to the senior authorities. Immediately the force from the neighboring districts were rushed. और आने के साथ ही फोर्स ने तुरंत यहाँ पे सिचुएशन को कंट्रोल करते हुए, कमांड हाथ में लेते हुए न सिर्फ जो पूरी लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन को काबू में किया है, बल्कि जो फंसे हुए लोग थे उनको भी इवैक्यूएट किया है।
Ma'am, final question. Are you cracking down on the guilty? Do you think there will be arrests? Will we see arrests and perhaps also
yes, we have
identifying the masterminds, if any?
We have registered FIR and we have detained people. More than 100 people we have detained and we are investigating, verifying their role, and whoever evidence are coming against anybody, we are going to arrest them. We are there to crack down.
Cybercrime police station that's been burnt down. Do you think there's a sinister motive behind that? Because it's in that area where, which is called the Jamtara of the West, or the Jamtara on this side. So, is there a connection there in terms of motive to burn down that cybercrime police station?
No, first thing I would like to clarify that police station is not burned down. Yes, there are certain vehicles standing outside the premise of the police station. 3 or 4 vehicles. The vehicles have been burned down, not the police station. Other question is concerned connection. Again, it is too premature to comment on this. There is a connection. However, we will look into this aspect also during the course of the investigation.
So that was Mamta Singh saying 100 people have been detained and they are going to get to the bottom of it, and that there were police personnel deployed, but still things have gone out of hand and they still remain very, very uneasy. We also spoke with one of the victims of what happened, and let's just go straight across. Ved Prakash ji is with us. Ved Prakash ji, 31 तारीख को क्या हुआ था? आप कहाँ थे और क्या घटना घटी?
सर 10-11 बजे के करीब नए बस स्टैंड पे झगड़े होने चालू हुए। वहाँ इन्होंने गाड़ियों में आग लगा के और दंगे फिसाद, मारना पीटना चालू कर दिया, लूटपाट खटोट चालू कर दी। 11 बजे के बाद इनने करीबन 3-3:30 बजे नई अनाज मंडी जो रोड के ऊपर है उसमें साइबर क्राइम का थाना है, उसको बस लाकर उसकी दीवार तोड़ी है। गेट तोड़ने की कोशिश करी गई है, गेट इनसे टूटा नहीं। उस दीवार में 2-3 बार बस मारी है। जब वो दीवार तोड़ के उसमें अंदर घुस के इनने उधम मचाया खूब। हजारों की तादाद में हथियार लेके ये लोग घुसे हैं, मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी के लोग, और गाड़ियां जो खड़ी थी सब में आग लगा दी। वो आग लगाने के बाद साइबर क्राइम के सामने ही हमारी आड़त की दुकान है यहाँ 88 नंबर शॉप, उस पर यहाँ हमला बोल दिया। मैं मौके पर मौजूद था। 5-5 किलो के पत्थरों से इनने गाड़ी पे हमला किया है। मैंने शटर नीचे घेर के अपनी जान बचाई है। अगर मैं शटर नहीं बंद करता तो ये मुझे भी जान से मार देते। और इतना उधम मचाने के बाद ये शहर की तरफ निकल गए। फिर इन्होंने शहर में खूब धुम्मस मचाया। मैं आपसे ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि 11 बजे का झगड़ा और 3-3:30 बजे अनाज मंडी पे हमला करना, 5 घंटे के अंदर प्रशासन ने हमारी कोई मदद नहीं करी, कोई फोर्स नहीं आई जो हमारी मदद कर सके। हम यहाँ 15-20% की तादाद में हिंदू रह रहा है, प्रशासन के दम पे हम लोग यहाँ जिंदा हैं, प्रशासन हमारी कोई मदद नहीं कर पाया। इन्होंने जो ये 92 में कांड हुआ था मंदिर तोड़ने का, उससे भी ये भयंकर कांड अब किया है। और हमारे स्कूटर में पैसे रखे थे, हम बैंक जमा कराने के लिए जा रहे थे, उस स्कूटर को ले गए और स्कूटर बाहर मंडी के बाहर पड़ा पाया है और कैश उसमें से निकाल लिया, 5 लाख रुपए थे करीबन, और उसे भी ले गए। हमारी जान निठ बची है। मैं तो आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ कि यहाँ जो हिंदू प्रशासन के ऊपर जिंदा है, क्या उसकी यही बेकदरी होगी? क्या कोई सुनने वाला नहीं, प्रशासन कोई सुध नहीं ले रहा। हमारी FIR दर्ज कराने के लिए लड़का कई घंटे से थाने में खड़ा है, उसकी FIR भी दर्ज नहीं कर रही। ये हम लोगों की स्थिति है। मैं तो मीडिया के माध्यम से यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि हमारी सुनवाई करी जाए और इन दंगाइयों के खिलाफ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई करी जाए और इनसे वसूली करी जाए। और करीबन इस झगड़े में मेरा अपना ही 20-25 लाख रुपए का नुकसान हुआ है और शहर में करोड़ों रुपए का नुकसान हुआ है। भाई सरकार से गुजारिश है कि सब भाइयों के जिनके नुकसान हुए उनकी भरपाई करे और आइंदा इस तरह के ये झगड़ा ना हो, उसकी रोकथाम के लिए हमें पूरी सुरक्षा मुहैया कराए।
वेद प्रकाश जी, आप कितने साल से वहाँ पर रह रहे हैं नूह में, और कभी आपने देखा है इस तरीके का उधम मचता हुआ, इस तरीके के दंगे होते हुए? आपने 92 की बात की थी जी।
सर, हमारी कई पीढ़ियां निकल गई, हम यहाँ सैकड़ों वर्षों से यहाँ पर रह रहे हैं नूह में। हमको यहाँ नूह के नए बासिंदे नहीं हैं। और आप ये समझो, सन 92 में एक घटना घटी थी जब अयोध्या में मस्जिद टूटी थी जी। उसके बाद इन्होंने हमारे मंदिरों को पे हमला किया था। अब कहते हैं इनने प्री प्लान हमारी जान माल पे नुकसान किया है, भाई इन्हें मार दो और लूट लो। अब कहते हैं ये कई, और प्रशासन को सारी बातें स्थिति पता थी, प्रशासन ने कोई फोर्स का इंतजाम नहीं किया। हमारा ना कोई बजरंग दल से मतलब है, ना कोई कांग्रेस पार्टी, ना कोई बीजेपी पार्टी से मतलब है। हम लोगों को हमें क्यों इन जान माल का नुकसान इन लोगों ने पहुंचाया? प्रशासन बिल्कुल बेसुध हुआ रहा। मेरी तो भाई यही है जी, हमारी सुनवाई करी जाए और हम सब लोगों का भरपाई करी जाए नुकसान की, और इनके खिलाफ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई जो हो वो करी जाए।
पर आपको क्यों ये लग रहा है कि ये प्री प्लान्ड है, और आपको क्यों लगता है कि लोगों को पता था ये होने वाला है पर होने दिया गया?
सर, सोशल मीडिया पे कई दिन से ये खबरें आ रही थी। मोनू मोनेसर ने धमकी दी हुई थी, मैं आ रहा हूँ, यात्रा में शामिल होऊंगा। भाई मोनू मोनेसर आता है तो ये प्रशासन का काम है उसे रोकना। आम जनता को क्यों लूटवा रहे हैं ये? हमारा क्या मोनू मोनेसर से लेना देना? आप ये बताओ ना जी, हम लोगों पे जो ये विपदा आई है, हमारा क्या कसूर है इसमें?
आप कह रहे हैं 10:30 बजे के करीब झगड़ा हुआ, 10:30-11 बजे के करीब ये बातचीत झगड़ा होता है और 3 बजे ये पूरे तरीके से उधम मचा है, ये बात सही है? इसलिए आपको ये प्री प्लान लग रहा है?
सर, 9 बजे कस्बे के अंदर से कलश यात्रा निकलती है
जी।
उसके बाद ये कलश यात्रा नल्लड़ मंदिर पर चली जाती है, वहां से ये दोबारा स्टार्ट होनी थी। और नया बस अड्डा हमारी मंडी से आधा किलोमीटर आ गई है। वहाँ ये लोग इकट्ठे हो गए काफी भारी तादाद में हथियारों को ले लेकर। वहाँ इनने पहले झगड़ा किया है काफी, और उसके बाद 3-3:30 बजे इन्होंने ये मंडी पे हमला बोला है। साइबर क्राइम थाने को पहले तोड़फोड़ मचा के आग लगाई है, और उसके बाद इन्होंने ये हमारी मंडी की शॉप बिल्कुल जो सामने उस पर ये तोड़फोड़ करी है। हमारी होंडा सिटी गाड़ी बिल्कुल चकनाचूर कर दी है इन्होंने, कैमरे तोड़ दिए, बाहर जो भी चीज मिली सब लूटपाट कर ली इनने।
लेकिन वेद प्रकाश जी, अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि टारगेट साइबर क्राइम पुलिस स्टेशन था और वहां पर बस लेकर इन्होंने दीवार तोड़ने की कोशिश की, पर आप पर अटैक क्यों किया? आप तो कह रहे हैं आप तो वहीं पे थे, आपका इससे कोई लेना देना नहीं, आप यात्रा का भी हिस्सा नहीं थे, आप तो दुकान पे बैठे थे। तो आपने इनको दंगाइयों से कुछ बात करने की कोशिश की या उनको समझाने की कोशिश की?
सर, हम तो बात जब करते हमने तो जान बचाई है। ये पत्थर बरसा रहे, हम इनसे बात करने की स्थिति में कहाँ थे? शटर नीचे करके अंदर से लॉक करिए दुकान के अंदर। अगर हम इनके सामने आ जाए तो हमें जान से मार दे। बात करने का तो कोई मौका ही नहीं थी जो बात करी जाए। दंगाइयों से बात हो सकती है क्या? एक आदमी की मैं आपसे पूछता हूँ। पर लेकिन यहाँ प्रशासन की फोर्स ही नहीं हमारे पास, हम किससे बात करें?
प्रशासन कहता है 800 लोग थे, लेकिन इनका कोई लीडर था क्या? ये किसी के कहने पर काम कर रहे थे? आपको क्या लगता है?
अब ये तो देखो जी, हम क्या कह सकते हैं, इनका कोई ना कोई तो बड़ी वारिस होगा ही जो ये प्री प्लान करके इन्होंने इतना बड़ा दंगा किया है। कोई एकदम तो हो नहीं गया जी, हथियारों को ले लेके ये आए कस्बे के अंदर।
पर 11 बजे से 3 बजे तक आप कह रहे हैं वहां कोई पुलिस बंदोबस्त नहीं था। पुलिस कहती है 800 पुलिस तैनात थी।
नहीं, कोई बंदोबस्त नहीं जी, खूब दंगा। नहीं, FIR करी, लड़का 3 घंटे से थाने में बैठा है, FIR नहीं लिख रहे। नाम बताओ किसने तो हमला किया। हमें क्या पता जी भीड़ में कौन है, हम किसी पहचानते नहीं। भीड़ का हजूम है हजारों की तादाद में, हमें क्या पता कौन कौन है वो।
आपके आसपास और भी दुकानों के साथ ऐसा लूटमार हुई है?
हमारी दुकान से आगे एक वो अपने चंदीराम स्वीट है, उसमें भी तोड़फोड़ मचाई है, और जो गाड़ियां मिल गई वो भी तोड़ी है इनने। वो और भी इनने काफी मंडी में जो 5-7 गाड़ियां खड़ी थी सब में तोड़फोड़ मचाई है।
गाड़ियों में तोड़फोड़ की है। लेकिन जब ये तोड़फोड़ कर रहे थे कोई नारेबाजी हो रही थी, कुछ कह रहे थे ये लोग, क्या कह रहे थे?
नहीं जी, कुछ बस तोड़ दो आग लगा दो, तोड़ दो आग लगा दो बस।
तो ये कह रहे थे वो। पर
हमने तो अपने जान बचाने की सोची है जी, हमने इनकी कोई बात सुनने की तरफ नहीं की, हमने तो शटर बंद कर लिया अपना।
सरकार से क्या उम्मीद रखते हैं आप?
भाई सरकार से हमारी यही उम्मीद है भाई, हमारी यहाँ सुरक्षा करी जाए, नहीं तो हिंदू यहाँ से पलायन कर जाएगा। ये एक ही कम्युनिटी का एरिया रह जाएगा, मेवात बन के हिंदू यहाँ से चला जाएगा। हम कुल 20% में तो यहाँ बचे, वो भी नहीं रहेंगे भाई। जो आज हमने भयंकर स्थिति देखी है, हमने अपनी जान बचाई है बड़ी मुश्किल से भाई, हम इस स्थिति में यहाँ रहने के काबिल कहाँ रहेंगे जी। अपने आप मजबूरन यहाँ छोड़ के जाना पड़ेगा भाई। हमारी तो सरकार से गुजारिश है भाई, हमारी यहाँ सुरक्षा मुहैया कराई जाए और हमारे नुकसानों की सब भाइयों की भरपाई करे, और इन दंगाइयों को से सख्त से सख्त जो कानून के वो इस्तेमाल करके इनको सजा दे।
वेद प्रकाश जी, एक अंतिम प्रश्न मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा, आपको ये क्या स्थानीय लोग थे या बाहर से आए हुए थे?
नहीं, सारे स्थानीय गांवों के लोग हैं जी, बच्चे हैं 15-20 साल के, जिन्होंने ये हथियार लिए हुए थे, डंडे हथियार हाथ में, और जो ये धुम्मस मचाया, पत्थर बरसाए खूब मन करके।
वेद प्रकाश जी, हमसे बात करने के लिए धन्यवाद। आई नो इट टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ करेज फॉर यू टू से व्हाट यू हैव सेड एंड आल्सो टू सिट एंड टॉक टू अस हियर, बट वी होप दैट द Khattar government, Manohar Lal Khattar government is listening, the cops are listening, and this is what the people on ground have faced over the last 24 to 48 hours, and this doesn't seem to be simmering down. It's still on the boil, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get a move on here on the right stand, shift focus away from what happened in Nuh in Haryana and focus on yet another big victory on this fight against drugs. Continuing on its crackdown against narcotics, the Narcotics Control Bureau busted another Pak Indian LSD drug cartel run from the national capital. The NCB seized 13,863 LSD blots, at least 13,863 LSD blots, and arrested 3 people. The agency busted this cartel as part of an ongoing investigation into a different cartel that was busted about 2 months ago, sometime in April 2023. Remember, viewers, on the 6th of June, the agency had arrested 6 people and seized around 15,000 LSD blots. The agency reveals that the drug cartel called Zambada is run from Delhi and is named after the fugitive Mexican drug runner who has a bounty of more than $1.5 million on his head, and he's still not been caught. Now let's tell you a little more about this seizure. The seizure is 13,863 lysergic acid diethylamide blots or LSD blots. The cartel Zambada, named after a Mexican drug runner, the nexus rated 5-star by traffickers and consumers. Trafficking method is using the darknet and also encrypted social media platforms. Payment is via cryptocurrency and of course couriers and India Post being used for delivery. But you see how they've been masked, these blots. Transaction mode, usage of virtual identities and cryptocurrency. The motive is easy money and of course virtual life and fame. The accused, educated youth, tech-savvy professionals, comprised educated men between 21 to 25 years old. The accused were inspired by web series and OTT platforms. The crackdown Raids were conducted across India. 22 have been arrested till date. Now let's tell you the modus operandi of how this drug cartel runs. Contact through social media sites, delivery mode primarily couriers on fake addresses and mobile numbers. Payments were received and made only through cryptocurrencies and the conversion thereof. No verbal communication were made amongst the vendors or vendors and buyers. So this is the details. Joining us now is Gyaneshwar Singh, Deputy Director General of the Narcotics Control Bureau. Gyaneshwar ji, namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you very much for speaking with us. My first question to you, Gyaneshwar ji, we have spoken when we connected last, you had another bust. So tell us a little more about this drug bust.
Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, he has a vision of drug-free India. And it is his vision that not a single youth should be involved in drugs. Recently we had North Region conference under chairmanship of Honorable HM. He also stressed upon busting the networks, the cartels who are operating in India and are, working against our youth and society. So we have been working. We identified 3 major cartels on Darknet, the largest one, and we were after them. We started in April, and last time when I spoke to you, we caught one cartel, popularly known as F1 and F420, and we recovered around 15,000 blots.
Right.
That was record in itself. And now this is the most well-known, highest rated, with largest volume Zambada cartel. So this Zambada cartel has been busted by Delhi Zolan unit, and we have successfully busted 2 networks out of the 3 which we had identified.
Take us through the process. How did you do it? These people using a lot of technology and also very active on the darknet.
We have been noticing the use of technology by these traffickers and drug smugglers. They are targeting professionals. Even the demand is on rise for the drugs through internet, surface net and dark web.
Right.
So we have been honing our skills and we have been assisting our sister concerns to upgrade their skills as far as technology goes. We conducted Darkathon and such activities, sensitized other agencies. So we have been working on darknet and other technologies. We are working with intermediaries. So while trolling this darknet, we came across these networks which were under our scanner, and it was very difficult since they are using all fake documents for phone, for courier parcels, and darknet is really difficult to crack. But we worked relentlessly for almost 4 months to break this Zambada network, which is the highest rated, I would say again. On the darknet, rating is done from 1 to 5. This was the 5-star, rather sole 5-star network in India which was operating, and it has been busted.
But so clearly this is a big crackdown because these were very hugely popular or preferred, Gyaneshwarji. But what's the value of what you have cracked down upon? Can you give us an estimate? And also what will be the impact into the market, consumers, cartel, etc.?
Value, we refrain from saying officially, but street value per blot as per Google you can find out is 3,000 to 5,000, 7,000 per blot. So we have seized about 29,000 blots. So you can mark up the value. But in terms of danger and impact, since this is more popular in youth, in students, professionals, IT professionals, and the target areas have been Hyderabad, Bengaluru, NCR, those markets and places where professionals are working. So this is a hallucinogen which actually alters your mind. And it has serious health impact. And generally it has a deteriorating effect on your health. So we were able to save thousands of young professionals and youth from this LSD.
But have you chopped the head of the hydra or just two of its important tentacles? What's the guarantee that these people will not surface back again, this cartel will not be alive again in the coming few months?
It's hide and seek game, unfortunately, but we have affected 22 arrests from these two cartels, and we are after the third cartel, which is probably lower in the priority, but still active, and we are chasing them, and hopefully we'll bust that as well. I can't guarantee you that tomorrow new channel or new supplier will not come, but we are on tenterhooks and we are keeping our radars on. We will act as and when we get the information.
True, but they are using encrypted platforms. On the one hand, the argument of right to privacy. On the other hand, this brazen misuse to once again corrupt society and also impact negatively our society. Where do you stand?
Yeah, in fact, this issue has been raised, and there has to be a perfect balance between right to privacy and the damage one can cause to the society. In this case, under the garb of anonymity, and on the pretext of privacy, this business is flourishing. So be it darknet or social media platforms, all this is being used and misused by these cartels. And so much so that they were overconfident that they will never be caught. They named this Zambada. Name comes from Ismail Marlo Zambada Garcia of Mexican drug cartel, who is the lone person who has not been caught so far. And 1.5 crore USD dollar is the prize money for him. So they also thought that they'll never be caught. And probably they visited certain sites and learned from various Netflix series, etc., etc. So this had a lot of impact on these young professionals who studied the loopholes of the system, be it courier system, postal system, communication system, and actually made their way ahead. But certainly any criminal leaves some evidence behind, and we were determined to catch them, and after 4 months of extraordinary effort by Delhi Zonal Unit, we were successful in catching them.
इतना तेज दिमाग है सर, तो देश के अच्छे के लिए कुछ अच्छा करने के लिए यूज कर लेते. Why do something which is going to hurt society and hurt the country?
ये आपकी बात बिल्कुल ठीक है. I certainly say, I believe so, that we have this demographic dividend which we should not waste. India is a country of youth. They are our assets, and they should use their energy in a constructive manner for national building.
True.
And we at NCB are acting very responsibly towards that.
Well, good luck to you and your team, and congratulations. May there be many more crackdowns, and may this entire menace of drugs be eradicated from our country for good. You have to work towards uprooting it. Ganeshwarji, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much. We're going to take a very, very short break on that note, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, startling details about this ISIS plot that was uprooted or unearthed in Maharashtra. Is this radical entity trying to embed itself in Bharat? Stay with us.
The police would be allowed to do so or not, whether there would be certain kind of a mechanism, there would be a monitored probe or not. All of this would be answered on Monday, whether the Supreme Court would actually be forming a committee. All these questions boil down to Monday when the Supreme Court, the three judges bench headed by the Chief Justice of India, actually comes back and the DGP is also present along with the Solicitor General and the Attorney General of the country.
Ananya, I'm just going back to some of the details that you were pointing out a short while ago, which is again what the CGI has said, where he said, we may think of constituting a committee, forming a committee comprising of former High Court judges, remit the committee rehabilitation measures, supervise the work to ensure that the process pre-investigation is fair. As far as the formation of this committee is concerned, do we have any more direction or details?
Well, these committees have not been formed, but the Supreme Court is mulling upon doing so. It is discussing the options of retired High Court judges. It would be also looking into women, judges to actually come up, because there are cases of, sexual assault. There are cases of crime against women. And that's the reason why, in fact, Supreme Court would also want some woman to actually come into the picture and to actually go on and, be a part of this investigation or this committee that would be carrying out and rehabilitating the people of Manipur.
Ananya, I also want to understand in terms of the clear lapses that the CJ and the top court felt that has happened in part of the state government. Could you list those lapses as well? Because as I pointed out, they already pointed out to the fact that there was delay in the first action, which was filing of FIR. So have they listed any terms of lapses that they feel that has already occurred on part of the state authorities?
Well, in fact, definitely. The court has, in its order itself, has recorded that prima facie it appears that the investigations that have been carried out in, in these 6,000 FIRs is something that is very, very lethargic. The Supreme Court has also stated that, the FIRs have been filed or very late. In fact, almost 2 months gap was there between the incident and the FIR being reported. And finally, in fact, it has also been stated that not proper arrests are made in this, in the cases like these. And definitely there is a complete breakdown of the law and order situation is what the Supreme Court has been constantly saying since the hearing began today.
Ananya, we'll just request you to stay on with us. We want to bring in our colleague Arunima also, who's joining us on the broadcast. Arunima, a very crucial development that's coming in from the top court, where the DGP of Manipur now in fact has been summoned, and that hearing on Monday is going to be crucial. The Supreme Court has minced no words, saying there was inaction as far as state authorities are concerned. There were delays in filing the first FIR. Is this a significant breakthrough as far as the investigation for Manipur? And this is developments now coming in from the Supreme Court. This is as far as the hearing on the Manipur video that was on the top court. The Supreme Court has summoned the Manipur DGP. The Chief Justice of India has asked the Manipur DGP to appear on Friday. The Supreme Court has wrapped the Manipur government, saying there was no law and order left in the state. State cops are incapable. Very strong words being used as far as the CGI is concerned. Even yesterday, the Supreme Court had wrapped the Manipur state government, asking why there was a delay as far as the filing of the FIR is concerned, asking the inaction that led to the delay as far as the state authorities were concerned. Ananya Bhatnagar, our legal correspondent, now joining us on the broadcast. Ananya, very strong words coming in and a very crucial development coming in as far as the hearing that was on in the top court, where now we're understanding the Manipur DGP in fact has been summoned. Even yesterday, as I was pointing out, the Supreme Court was very clear. They wrapped the Manipur government, asking for inaction, the delay in filing the FIR. What did we hear from the top court today?
Well, definitely. First, the developments are that, the Manipur DGP has been summoned to appear personally before the court on Monday. He will, in fact, now, be assisting the court with regards to the bifurcation of the FIRs, how investigation has to be carried out. But the observations that have come in from the Chief Justice of India today are something that is very, very troublesome. In fact, the Chief Justice of India has gone on to say today that there was for 2 months in the state of Manipur, there was a complete breakdown of the law and order situation. There was no law and order there, and the state machinery has completely failed in to actually protect the people of Manipur. In fact, it was also deliberating as to how can the investigation in these more than 6,000 FIRs that have been registered in this with relation to this violence be investigated, because all the 6,000 FIRs cannot in fact be entrusted to the CBI, because CBI handles only crime cases, and if at all CBI would be given all these 6,000 FIRs, the CBI itself will break down in investigating all of them. So that mechanism is being devised now. Apart from that, what has also been, the concern of the court is with regards to the identification of the dead bodies, for which the court has asked the Solicitor General to come back on Monday. And, very, very crucially, the Supreme Court has held that the investigations that have been conducted so far are very, very tardy, slow, and in fact, few or no arrests have been made in these cases. And in fact, people of Manipur have lost their faith, is something that the CJI could hint at. But on Monday, when the Supreme Court again sits back to hear this particular matter, the DGP of Manipur will be present in the court. He will have to appear before, in fact, the Chief Justice of India's court to actually assist the court with regards to the situation there, with regards to how things can be brought back to normal. And in fact, the Supreme Court is also mulling on to actually create committee headed by former judges at the High Court. So all of this would be a very, very important and crucial hearing on Monday, where Supreme Court could be seen, figuring out, or somewhere or the other.
Welcome back. The National Investigation Agency has raided 31 locations across Punjab and Haryana. This is news just coming through here on the right stand here at CNN News 18. The NIA raiding 31 locations across Punjab and Haryana to unravel and unearth the full contours of the conspiracy behind the March 19, 2023 attack at the High Commission of India in London, and to bring to book the various attackers and assailants. The raids led to the seizure of digital data containing information related to the accused persons involved in the attack on the High Commission and other incriminating documents and evidence. The districts where these searches took place today include Moga, Barnala, Jalandhar, Hoshiarpur, Taran, Ludhiana, Gurdaspur, Amritsar, Patiala, Mohali in Punjab, and also Sirsa in Haryana. Now, just to jog your memory, the High Commission of India in London was attacked in March by a group of about 50 people. An investigation team of the NIA had visited the United Kingdom in May 2023 to probe the attack. Subsequently, a crowdsourcing of information was also carried out to identify and collect information about the UK-based entities and individuals involved in the incident, based on which the agency identified many of these attackers and traced their routes to these areas in Punjab and Haryana. Now, getting a move on, ladies and gentlemen, a crackdown on terror module continues in India. The Maharashtra ATS has arrested 2 terror suspects from Pune who are part of the Al-Sufa terror module. Intel sources revealing to CNN News 18 that the accused were planning to carry out much bigger attack than 26/11 and also in multiple locations that were on their target. Sources are revealing that 2 arrest accused were trying to master guerrilla warfare. Further investigation revealed that both were on the wanted list of the NIA. Another accused in the case, Shahnawaz, is currently absconding. Let's tell you a little more about this plot. The first revelation that comes out is that they wanted to carry out a bigger attack than 26/11 Mumbai. They wanted to use latest tech to carry out attack at multiple locations. The third revelation is that the attacks were planned at several locations, including the Shabad House and also the naval helipad, which were recce'd. That's the fourth revelation. The fifth revelation, temples with high footfall were also on their radar. The sixth revelation, hydraulic projects were also on target. The seventh revelation is that the accused tracked VIP movements. They trained people on how to make IEDs, is yet another revelation. Our group editor, security, Manoj Gupta, getting us these details. Now, during the raids, the Pune ATS has recovered 500 GB of data from the laptop of the arrested accused, and here's what they found that exposes this entire plot of the ISIS. Literature about how to make a bomb, literature for causing disharmony, YouTube links on brainwashing people, various Google Map images that were found, drone images and links of locations were found, bomb circuit device was discovered. This is far more sinister, ladies and gentlemen, because there is a proper training module that's seen, and it is possible that these people have already radicalized, trained so many other individuals on Indian soil. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow, ORF with us, and SP Vaid, former DGP Jammu and Kashmir with us. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. What's up? This is radical ideology embedding itself, because this detail comes on a day when another Al-Qaeda module has been busted by the Gujarat ATS.
Yes, Anand, I have been saying even in my previous interviews, India faces a huge threat from the international organizations like ISIS, and also sponsored by the ISI of Pakistan, and all this through the internet. You may have noted these people have not gone across and not taken training. All has been done on the net, and that is why the need in India of monitoring all these sites which are actually training up, radicalizing our people. And I think we need to have a very specialized agency to keep a total close watch on this. Though I know our intelligence agencies are keeping a tab on all this, but then there is a limit. You have the amount of surfing has to be done, amount of the eyes have to, because it's a huge country. Who is seeing what? Who is seeing what? All that needs to be kept eye on, and I think particularly the vulnerable groups, and I don't think all the state police forces are that very well equipped, though everyone is trying its bit. But I think in today's time, we need an agency, specialized agency, to keep tab on all these people. Otherwise, you are in for you're seeing what is happening in Kerala. You're seeing what's happening in Bengal, J&K and Punjab. You already know. Be rest assured, the rest of your country is also under surveillance and under threat. And these people are doing their best to plan attacks. Look at their planning. Bigger Mumbai. Imagine. Look at the revelation you were mentioning. 7 or 8 of them. It's very, very serious threat, and it should be taken very seriously.
And they're planning to use technology. They're looking at guerrilla warfare. But more importantly, Sushant Sari, they are very young. The 3 arrested are between 21 to 25. A lot of the incidents and the witnesses, what they are saying, for a lot of incidents that are happening or cropping up, they are all less than 30 years old. This is a serious issue.
Anand, I'm afraid your voice is not very clear. So I don't know exactly what your question is. But let me just say one thing. You know, for me, I'll go along with everything Mr. Mehwat said. But for me, the really serious issue is the profiles of these guys. At least the profile of the main fellow. You know, somebody who is such a highly educated, such a highly regarded doctor, in some ways a pillar of the society. And then, behind the scenes, he is found involved in this kind of a terror module. That's really the scary part and the most worrisome part. When people who have got the best that this country has had to offer, people who have risen, to the top of their professions, along with their peers from other communities, and yet have this level of disaffection, then I think that is a very, very serious matter. And it's not just about what is happening. You know, social tensions have always been part of Indian society. Political tensions also. But this is something much worse. This is something far more primordial, if I might use that word, to what is happening. And I think there is a lot of need, apart from all the other, law and order machinery that you put in place. You put in place all the intelligence networks. You can do all of that.
Right.
But I think the government really needs to spend a lot of time. And I don't think the government can really do it, because the government is incapable of doing it. Partly for reasons, that they're just not tuned that way. But I think they really need to commission some very serious studies as to what is, setting off this time bomb in the heads of people. And until and unless you do that, you will really not be able to, get ahead of the curve. And I say this also because, we've been hearing about change the narrative, you have to build the right narrative. We've been talking about all of that. And we've been talking about it for decades now.
Correct.
And yet when it comes down to it, when you look at the kind of de-radicalization measures we are taking, the kind of steps we have put in place, they leave a lot to be desired. They're at a very, very perfunctory level. They're very rudimentary. We really haven't thought of how to build an ecosystem in which we can not only track these guys, but we can also prevent people from getting into this kind of stuff, and we can also pull out people who might have fallen in the trap.
Right.
I don't think until and unless we equip ourselves with that, I don't think we will see the end of what we are, this latest incident. And for me, that was the most shocking part. That how somebody who is, you would give a right arm and a right leg to reach his position.
Correct.
Does this kind of a thing. That's quite.
But this is not something which is unique to what we've seen in Maharashtra, SP Vaidji. That's the point. The fact is that there are increasingly youngsters. Look at what is happening across the board. You name the states. Let's add a few more and also name the modules. And you would see that the average age of the people who are being arrested, or the people who are being caught, or the people who are involved is within 30 years of age.
Yes, Anandji, absolutely. The very, very young, impressionable minds. And I completely agree with, in fact, my worry was also that how come such a highly qualified doctor, postgraduate, MD in anesthesiology, imagine such a person who is one of the best placed in the country getting radicalized. I think there is a need in this society to study what is this which is motivating him to do such an act when he has best of life in this country. There are millions and millions of young boys and girls who don't have even this luxury. And look at, in spite of that, this postgraduate doctor cutting. In fact, when we had PhD scholar of Kupwara getting radicalized in Kashmir, if you recall, and here, and when Burhan Wani got radicalized, it was a big news that look how these qualified people have got radicalized, and look at the pattern. We need to definitely go into reasons. What is that which is motivating a person who is so highly placed in this society? So young, I completely agree with you. All are young, below 30, and I think we need to definitely keep a very, very extensive surveillance system. The cyberspace needs to be monitored continuously.
But this cyberspace itself is so vast. How do you monitor it? And we are 1.4 140 crore people with 250 crore handsets. And platforms which are available. We have made data so cheap and so accessible because you want to do good for society. But yin and the yang, good and the bad, they all come together. Sushant Sareen. So how is it possible? How do you surveil these people without invading into their privacy? That's one question. Secondly, I can surveil into you. I can see what kind of literature you read. But how do I prove that you are doing something which is going to harm society till you do something?
No, so look, Anand, there are technical means of getting to the bottom of this. So I think the technology part is not as difficult. It might be a big task, but it's probably not as difficult as getting to know what I call what are the conversations. For example, let us take a university which is full of young Muslim students, right? What are the conversations which take place after dinner between these guys? What are they talking about? What is sticking with them? What is clicking with them? What is bothering them? Do we have that information? I can find out, Anand, what you, Mr. Vaid, what somebody else is doing online. That's the easy part. What I can't find out is what all those kids who are studying together, living in a particular environment, what are the conversations they are having? And that is what I really need to know so that I can get to the bottom of this. But also remember, Anand, again, I'm not revealing anything new.
Ji.
Whether it was 9/11, the guys who were involved in 9/11, some of them were engineers, graduates from Western universities and what have you. Osama bin Laden himself. I can give you name after name after name of people who were from very wealthy backgrounds, people who are highly qualified, highly educated, studied in the best universities, taking to this kind of stuff. And I will show you many others, including many religious scholars, religious leaders, who might look very quote-unquote Talibanish, but who are actually very liberal, very progressive in their outlook.
Yes.
So we have these certain stereotypes which we need to get over
with.
And then that is, but that requires sensitivity and that requires a lot of research, which unfortunately nobody is ready to do in this country.
No, but that is something which is the need of the hour. If we need to get on top of this situation and if we need to ensure that...
It's been the need for the last 2 decades, Anand.
I agree, sir. But Dera Durustha, better late than never. At least let's start doing something about it. Gentlemen, always a pleasure speaking with you. I've run out of time on my show. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you, sir.
Good.
With that, we call it a wrap on this edition of The Right Stand. Zakir ready with brass tacks.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. We're starting off with some breaking news that's coming in from Haryana. Remember, this is on the back of violence we saw on Monday in Nuh in southern Haryana. Now it seems there's fresh violence that is reported from Gurugram and in Badshahpur. We're given to understand that about 200 men who were riding in motorbikes and SUVs have vandalized over a dozen shops in the main market area of Badshahpur. This happened earlier this evening. Additionally, in Sector 66 in Gurugram, which is in the National Capital Region, a mob set ablaze about half a dozen stores. These incidents have occurred in the aftermath of communal clashes that happened on Monday.